Did you know that the average person has upwards of 500 negative or evil thoughts each day? These thoughts could belong to anyone, a friendly neighbor, a trusted friend, or even a stranger you pass on the street. In this series, we explore these sinister minds told from their own chilling perspectives. Prepare yourself for a psychological journey into the depths of human depravity. If you have sinister confessions you'd like to make, send them to the email listed in the channel's description. We'll ensure your confessions stay anonymous, but don't get unnoticed. Remember, you never truly know what someone is thinking or what they might be capable of. Viewer discretion is advised.
The creaking floorboards of the studio whispered secrets of the past as I stood, poised under the harsh fluorescent lights, watching my students practice. Each plie, each pirouette echoed in the cavernous space, a symphony of strained bodies and desperate dreams. I was their guide, their mentor, but they did not know the depth of my passion for perfection. It was not just about dance, it was about control. I had always been captivated by the elegance of ballet, the precision, the beauty, yet I understood the darkness that often accompanied it. I had seen the toll it took on the bodies and minds of those who dared to pursue it. But in my hands, I could mold them into something extraordinary. I could strip away their weaknesses, their fears, and replace them with something far more powerful: discipline. As I surveyed the room, my eyes landed on Emma, a new student, fresh and eager. She had talent, no doubt, but she also had an air of fragility that made my heart race with excitement. I could see her potential, the way she longed for validation, and that made her a perfect candidate for my methods. I would shape her, refine her, but first, I needed to break her. I called out to her, my voice slicing through the air like a knife with anger. "Emma, come here." She approached, her eyes wide with a mixture of admiration and fear. "Yes, Miss Hargrove?" My tone was angry. "Your form is sloppy. You need to push through your toes." Again. I gestured for her to begin again. Each time she faltered, I felt a thrill of satisfaction. The tears welling in her eyes fueled my ambition. I watched as she struggled, her body trembling with exertion, but I was relentless. I snapped angrily, "Don't give me excuses, Emma. Dance is not for the weak of heart. If you want to be great, you must suffer. Pain is part of the process." The other students watched, their expressions a mix of pity and fear as Emma fell to the floor, her breath coming in ragged gasps. I felt a surge of power. They all needed to understand that I was the architect of their success, and I would not tolerate mediocrity. I yelled angrily, "Get up. You're not a child anymore, you're a dancer." Days turned into weeks, and Emma's confidence began to wane. I pushed her harder, reveled in her struggle, and each bruise, each tear was a testament to her transformation. The other students whispered among themselves, wary of my methods, but they didn't understand. They didn't see the vision I had for Emma. They didn't see the masterpiece waiting to emerge. But with every success came a growing discontent. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the studio was bathed in shadows, I received a visit from the school's director. He entered my domain, a man of authority, carrying a smug air of self-righteousness that made my skin crawl. "Miss Hargrove," he began, his tone patronizing, "we need to discuss your approach with the students. There are complaints about your methods." I interrupted, my voice low, menacing and angry. "Complaints? They're just jealous. They don't understand what it takes to be great." He frowned, adjusting his glasses. "I understand the need for discipline, but there's a fine line between motivation and abuse. I suggest you reconsider your methods." His words hung in the air, a noose tightening around my neck. I had sacrificed so much for this art, and I would not let anyone jeopardize my vision. I yelled, "If you think you can waltz in here and dictate how I teach, you're sorely mistaken." He took a step back, startled by my intensity. "I'm just looking out for the students, Miss Hargrove. They need encouragement, not fear." I laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. "Encouragement?" Fear is a far more effective teacher. He left, but his words lingered like a foul stench. I would not be intimidated. I would show him and everyone else the power of my methods. I would elevate Emma, and when she shone, they would all understand. The night of the performance approached, and the pressure escalated. I could sense the tension in the air, a palpable energy that crackled like electricity. Emma was ready, or so I thought. In the final rehearsal, she faltered, tripping over her own feet. I felt my heart race, not with concern, but with fury. I was furious and angry. Pathetic! My voice echoing off the walls. You disgrace the art. You think you can step onto that stage and perform like that? Her face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks. I savored the moment, the power I held over her. You want to be a star? Then act like one. Suffer for it. But as the night wore on, a darkness settled over my heart. I could see it in the eyes of the other students, the whispers behind closed doors. They were afraid of me, and fear can be a double-edged sword. The night of the performance arrived, and the theater buzzed with anticipation. The audience filled the seats, a sea of eager faces waiting for the magic of ballet to unfold. I watched from the wings, my heart pounding as the curtain rose. Emma took her place on stage, and for a moment, I felt a swell of pride. She danced beautifully, her body moving like liquid grace. But then, as I stood in the shadows, I noticed something. Her eyes, wide with panic. She stumbled, faltering in her movements, and suddenly, everything I had worked for teetered on the edge. I hissed and whispered under my breath, focus, willing her to regain control. But it was too late. In a horrifying instant, she lost her balance and fell, crashing to the ground. A collective gasp echoed through the audience, and my heart sank. I rushed onto the stage, my heart pounding in my chest. I screamed, "Emma, get up!" panic clawing at my throat. But she lay there, motionless, a broken marionette. The theater erupted into chaos, parents screaming, the director rushing from backstage. I knelt beside her, my heart racing, dread pooling in my stomach. Yelling, "Emma, please, get up!" I begged, but there was no response. As the paramedics arrived, I felt a wave of dread wash over me. I had pushed too hard, gone too far. In my quest for perfection, I had broken her. The whispers of the audience turned into a cacophony of accusations, and I stood there, paralyzed by my own failure. Days turned into a blur of grief and anger. The school board convened, and I was called in for a meeting. The director's smugness had transformed into a mask of concern. "Miss Hargrove, we're placing you on probation pending an investigation," he stated, his voice dripping with false sympathy. I stared at him, rage bubbling beneath the surface. "This is all your fault. If you hadn't interfered, she would have been perfect." "Perfect?" he echoed, incredulous. "You call this perfection? You've traumatized these students." He yelled angrily, "Your methods are toxic." I felt the walls closing in, the weight of their judgment suffocating me. Desperate, I yelled, "You don't understand. They need me. They need discipline." My voice cracked, desperation clawing at my throat. But they didn't see my vision. They didn't understand the lengths I would go to for greatness. And as the investigation loomed, I realized that my world was crumbling. The students turned their backs on me, whispers of fear and disgust trailing in their wake. As I sat alone in the empty studio, the silence was deafening. I could still hear the echoes of their laughter, their dreams. But now they were just shadows, ghosts of what could have been. I had sacrificed everything for my art, and now it lay shattered at my feet. The final blow came when I received a letter from Emma's parents. They were suing the school, and I would be implicated. I felt the walls closing in, a tightening noose around my neck. I had lost my students, my reputation, my purpose. But as I stared into the mirror, the reflection staring back at me was not one of defeat. No, I was still a teacher, still a mentor. Perhaps it was time for a new approach. Maybe, just maybe, I could find others who would appreciate my methods. And so, I began to plan. I would not be defeated. I would rise from the ashes of this failure and find new students, eager and hungry for greatness. I would show them that perfection comes with a price. I would teach them that the line between beauty and pain is a thin one. The dance was not over. It had merely begun again. As I sat there, the weight of those words settled heavily in the air, a chilling reminder of the power instructors wield over their students. It dawned on me that the scars we inflict can linger long after the applause fades, echoing in the quiet corners of the mind. If you've ever felt the pressure to be perfect, to push beyond your limits, heed this warning. The obsession with excellence can twist into a haunting specter. Once you step into that world, it's easy to lose yourself in the pursuit of validation. And even if you escape, the memories of harsh words, the relentless demands, and the fear of failure can creep into your dreams, turning sleep into a battleground. You may find yourself lying awake at night, heart racing, haunted by the echoes of a voice that drives you to meet impossible standards. So be wary of those who preach discipline without compassion, who demand perfection at the cost of your peace. The scars they leave may not be visible, but they can manifest in your restless nights, in the shadows that loom when you finally close your eyes. You may find yourself trapped in a cycle of anxiety, unable to escape the relentless pursuit of an unattainable ideal. Remember, the pursuit of greatness should never come at the expense of your well-being. The instructors who push too hard can become phantoms in the night, whispering doubts and fears that keep you from the solace of sleep. And as you lay in the dark, remember, sometimes the most terrifying battles are fought within, where the real monsters lie in wait.